Good morning, Eamon.
Yeah, we were having a discussion here in studio about the Prime Minister and what went on Friday in Normandy. And I just want to get inside your head as to, does he make that decision or is he advised to make that decision to leave? And in short, do you think that the Conservatives would save a few seats at the general election if he stepped down? In other words, should he be leading the party today?
Oh, he should absolutely be leading the party today, and what he's going to be setting out today in our manifesto, Eamon, is a very clear choice. It's a binary choice between ourselves as a party, which now is seeing the highest joint level of growth in the G7. We've got inflation down to near normal levels. We've got rising real wages, which has been going on now for 11 consecutive months, and we're now going to be delivering some pretty big tax cuts. We've already cut taxes for 29 million working people, worth £900 for an average earner. We're going to go further in our manifesto today, so there'll be more of that to come. And the other part of the choice, of course, is Labour, with no plan, just kind of trying to protect this poll lead that they've got and say nothing at all, with a £38.5 billion black hole in their spending commitments.
How would you excuse, I understand the argument you're coming forward with there, but basically, what would your excuse for the Prime Minister be as to making what I think you would assume was a tactical mistake?
It was most certainly a mistake, and the Prime Minister has quite rightly and very promptly accepted that and come forward with a very unequivocal public apology for what happened. And I know that he will be feeling this very deeply personally, and I say that because I know him quite well, and I know him to be a deeply patriotic person, which is, having seen him around the cabinet table, Eamon, quite close up for some time now, I know how much he cares, for example, about veterans and our defence, and that's why we've got a veterans minister at the cabinet table as well. It's why we've continued to fund the veterans unit in the cabinet office, and will continue to do so if we're re-elected, and indeed come forward, go even further, come forward with new laws to legally enshrine the support that we are providing for our veterans in terms of welfare and health and housing and all the things that matter to them. So, look, a mistake has clearly been made. A very sincere apology has been given. But our Prime Minister is a deeply patriotic person, and yes, absolutely should be leading us into this general election.
People will make their own minds up on that, of course. But just tell us exactly the thinking behind a third 2p cut to national insurance in a year under this particular version of the Conservatives. It hasn't moved the dial previously in terms of the polls. Clearly a desperate campaign given recent events. What makes you think things will change this time as a result of it? And how on earth are you going to fund it? There's talk of £13 billion of further cuts being made in the manifesto today by overhauling welfare and clamping down on tax avoidance again.
So let's just take the funding of the commitments that we're going to come forward with on the tax side first. So on avoidance and evasion in the tax system, over the time that we've been in office since 2010, on average, 6.7 billion a year is what has been saved through clamping down on avoidance and evasion. And the figure that we are committing to here is £6 billion in 5 years' time. The Labour Party, incidentally, are committing to about £5 billion. That figure is entirely achievable, and our record shows that. In terms of welfare, what people expect from welfare is a system that is fair to the most vulnerable and those that need support, expects people to work if they're able to work and there's work available, and we've said that in the certain circumstances where people refuse to do that, we will take their benefits away. But overall, they expect a system that is sustainable and fair to the taxpayer. Now, if you take working age benefits with a health and sickness element to them, for working age people, that totals £69 billion of spending today. That is forecast to rise to £90 billion in 5 years' time, £21 billion increase. That is unsustainable, and that is where we will bring those levels down. If we can just hold the level at the case level at today's level, that would save £14 billion, more than we've put into our scorecard. And if we got it back to the level it was before the pandemic, it would save £35 billion. So the £12 billion figure is eminently achievable with the plans that we have.
want to burst your bubble or take away any surprise you may be having, but I'm just noticing that you're at Silverstone Racing Circuit there today. Can you tell us why you're there?
Well, apart from all the cliches that I've heard on the media around this morning about being revved up and ready to go, which I think is fairly appropriate. Look, this is a centre of advanced manufacturing and engineering excellence, as well as being a racetrack. And these are the kind of sectors in the future that are driving our economy, which is why, you know, we're the fourth largest exporter of goods and services in the world now, climbing up those league tables. So I think it's very appropriate that we're at this particular location.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're hoping to get in pole position. I just want to ask you, because I know that this manifesto is being sort of pegged as being for pensioners, parents, earners and those who want to buy houses. But some ONS figures came out today, not great, no progress in bringing down the pace of wage growth. We're unlikely, therefore, to see a Bank of England interest rate cut before the general election. It's more bad news for homeowners.
Well, I think it's very good news for those that are earning in the economy that real wages for the 11th month in a row have been growing. As regards interest rates, the general direction, for example, with mortgage rates is downwards, and that's because we've done all the heavy lifting now of getting inflation down from just over 11% back in the autumn of last year down to 2.3% today, down to normal levels. And that achievement in itself is driving interest rates down. There's no doubt these are matters for the Bank of England, as you know, who are independent, but there's no doubt that the general trajectory now for interest rates is going to be lower, which of course will help millions of homeowners up and down the country.
The Guardian reporting that the Tory right's got a set of demands if the manifesto fails to move the dial. Just give us your yes-no, really, on whether or not you think the manifesto is going to appease a very noisy and very unhappy right wing of your own party.
I think it's going to be very positive for anybody out there, in my party or not in my party, that this is the general electorate, anybody who wants to see taxes coming down, who wants to see greater financial security in the future, who wants to see us continue to grow the economy. We're now growing at the joint fastest rate of the countries in the G7. People that want to see that progress maintained rather than higher taxes under Labour.
Thank you very much indeed, Secretary of State for Work and Pensions.